Hey guys, welcome to another episode on my channel. So as you know, in my previous episode we dealt with a connection between ESP microcontroller and Android phone via USB. And I showed you how to connect those two devices and to make them to communicate with one another. At the end of previous episode I explained that there are various implementations of this technique. But also there are many more things to do in order to make this code to look like something more professional. And that actually is subject for this episode. But it's strongly recommended for you to watch my previous episode in order to get full grasp about what is going on in here. So first, let me show you my design. As you know, we have one text view that serves to present us with messages from our microcontroller, and we are going to read incoming communication from microcontroller when we click on button test. Then when we click on button send, we are going to send value from our edit text to our microcontroller. Then our microcontroller is going to update its own value based on value we just sent to it. Basically, next time when we click on button test, we are going to receive that very same new updated value. So first thing that I want to change in here, it's actually this test functionality. I want to remove this button test in order to receive incoming communication in real time. So I'm going to do that this very same moment. All right. Let me see constraints. All right. This is better. And for this episode we are going to deal with one more issue. You know that with this code our ESP microcontroller needs to be already connected before our application starts. Otherwise our code is going to crash. And I want to change that. I want to be able to connect my ESP microcontroller via USB to my Android phone in real time. So hopefully when we finish our coding for today we are going to end up with much better application. So if you are ready, let's do it. First go to Android manifest, and in here what I want to do, I want to add one user permission. All right. Android permission, USB permission. Then I want to go to activity and add Android launch mode to single top, and in here we need to add something else. First I'm going to add one intent filter with action, Android name, Android dot hardware dot USB action USB underscore device underscore attached. All right, and now we need to add metadata in here. Metadata. We need two arguments. One is Android name. Actually it's same like in this case, so I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to add one more, Android resource. We are going to put it to XML devices. Okay, and now I'm just going to create, and the root element is going to be resources. All right, let's see what we have. And we don't need this. Okay, let's get back to manifest first. So let me explain you what we just did with this part. So what we actually want, we want to be able to react on a USB attach and detach event. And for that very same purpose, we need this intent filter. And with metadata, we are going to be able to filter devices that we want to deal with. And in this resource file, we are actually going to put a list of those devices. So now let me show you how to do it. What I actually want to do, I want to list all of possible devices. So how to do that? Create one element, USB device, and vendor minus ID equals empty string, and product minus ID also empty string, and end of this element. So if you want your application to deal with some group of devices, in this way you are going to create that group. So you are going to find vendor ID and product ID of all devices that you want to deal with, and you are going to put that list in here. But if you do something like just I did, with vendor ID and product ID with empty strings, Android is going to recognize this list as a list of all possible devices. So it doesn't matter what kind of device you hook up to your phone, this application is going to react. So if that is clear, I'm going to close my device window. We don't need manifest anymore. Let's go to main activity. And of course, we just removed this button. So I'm just going to clear it away from my code. Let me see, is there any other place? Yes, code for on-click listener. We are going to change that really soon. So first, what I want to turn all of these variables global. I'm going to copy all of this, go up after class declaration, I'm going to paste it, and okay, I'm just going to remove this second part. Okay, connection, I'm going to remove this too. All right, we could set it all to private, but it doesn't matter for now. Let's see what else we have in here. Okay, I'm just going to deal with definition in here. We are going to copy this code once again later on. For now, I'm just going to split definition and declaration. All right, wonderful. All of this is going to go to connect function later on. So for now, I'm just going to group code together like this. And we need try catch statement. Let me create one. All right. So as I said, it's absolutely important to watch my previous episode in order to understand everything what is happening in here. So I just group this piece of code that is going to go to our connect function, because we are going to make logical connection the moment when we physically connect our ESP microcontroller with our phone. And that is going to happen only once, so we don't need establishing connection all the time. Okay, let's see what else we are going to do in here. I'm going to do the same with this piece of code. All right. So declaration is going to be global. And down there we are going to define everything that we need. And don't worry, soon everything is going to get to its proper place. And now I want to create two more variables and one more function at the top. So what I want to have private boolean variable running set to false, and I want to have private object call it porting equals new object, and this object could actually be static. So why I need these two? This running variable is going to serve for communication loop. I want to be able to use this variable in order to break communication when I need it. And this object porting I want to use to synchronize access to my port object, because that is totally necessary when you have two threads that are dealing with the same object. And now I'm going to create broadcast receiver. It's going to be private. It's going to be final broadcast receiver, call it receiver, new broadcast receiver. Okay, we have everything in here, just semicolon at the end. So why do we need this piece of code? As you know, when we connect USB device to our phone, we need to provide the permission in order to establish communication. And this broadcast receiver is going to serve to check for the result of our permission request. So if we granted permission to a device to connect, this connection is going to be established. Otherwise, communication is going to drop off. So what I want to do in my onReceive method, first I want to create one string, call it action, and I'm going to get value from intent, get action. Now if, and we need another constant variable in here, I'm just going to type action underscore USB underscore permission, and in here I'm going to create that constant variable private static string action USB permission, and value is going to be com Android example USB underscore permission. Alright, so now we are going to compare that value with value of action. And if those two values match, let me check. First we are going to use synchronized on this, and now if, but we have to provide squarely brackets, and now if our manager has permission on device, we are going to execute function connect. And don't worry, we are going to create that function in a moment. So now in here I'm going to create private void connect. Alright, and make some space because we are going to need it. But maybe it's better to do something else before we continue with this function. So as you know, with broadcast receiver, we are actually going to respond on permission request. But there is one more function that is really important in here. And that is function that is going to be executed the moment we attach or detach our USB device. And that is function that we are going to create first. So go down, and in here I'm going to generate another protected function with override methods on new intent. That's the one. Okay. So this function is going to be executed right after we attached our USB device. And first I'm going to use if loop in order to check what actually has happened. With intent get action equals USB manager action attached. So in this piece of code we are going to deal with what is going to happen when we attached our USB device. And now I'm going to copy this, else if detached. So with this top part we are going to deal with what is going to happen when we connect our device, and with this bottom part we are going to deal with what is going to happen when we disconnect our device. And I'm going to remove this unnecessary empty space. So first we are going to deal with detachment because it's much easier. We are going to use synchronized porting, and we are going to do port close and connection close, but in here we have to surround this with try catch. Let's put connection close in here too. So that's done. That's pretty much the only thing that we have to do when we disconnect our USB device. In here we are going to copy a lot of code from what we have already done. And I forgot about this pending intent. I'm going to move declaration up here, and I want to copy this part pending intent to next event function, and I want to copy this entire part, meaning I want to cut it away and to put it in here. So what I just done, so when we connect our USB device, first we are going to list all of connected devices, and we are going to grab our connected device. Then we are creating pending intent, and then we are asking for permission. But now in order to connect that broadcast receiver, we need another piece of code, and we are going to do it in here. So first we need intent filter, call it filter. New intent filter is going to be based on action USB permission. All right, then we need to register our receiver. So first argument it's receiver and second argument it's filter. All right, looks awesome. So this part is done, and now we can deal with our connect method. And first we are going to bring some code from our previous episode. So we actually don't need this piece of code in our on-click listener anymore. So I'm going to cut it away, and I'm going to paste it in my connect method. What else we can do? We can take this to port connection and the setting parameters of the port. All right, just put it in here. So basically this is all about connecting part. We have everything. Only thing else that we need now is to create that new thread that is going to wait for incoming communication. So new thread, new runnable, start it immediately after it's created. Then we are going to set our running to true. Immediately we are going to create while loop with running. So basically everything that is this loop is going to do, it's synchronize porting, and we are going to use port to read, but first we need to create byte array data, new byte of 100 elements, that's fine. We are going to read into data and timeout of 2 seconds, but we need to put everything in try catch. Okay, or let's continue with this try catch. So next thing that we have to do is to update our text view. So text view, set text, new string from data encoded as UTF-8. all right. But because we are updating this text view, that is a visual element from a separate thread, we need to run this on UI thread. So run on UI, new runnable, and I'm going to copy this code inside, but now we need to create another try catch statement. All right, I love this auto completion because it makes everything so much easier. And immediately after we update our text view, I'm going to use thread.sleep for 200 milliseconds. Let me see. I'm just going to add another error code, and one more thing, another synchronized on porting. And what I want to check in here, I'm going to use my running and set it value based on port is open. So if in meantime we close our port, I want to break away from this loop. Okay, but what I want to do else, I want to copy this very same code somewhere at the beginning, because I want to perform that check even before we read from USB. But now I'm just going to do it in a different way. So I'm going to check if port it's not open, then break. And I guess that this thread is done. It looks done to me. Okay, just going to remove this unnecessary empty space. All right, and of course we are going to deal with this code from previous episode, and we have already solved this part with our thread. I'm going to remove this entire code, and with our send button we actually don't need any of this connection establishing code. This one, port open connection, we don't need. Setting parameters we don't need because we already have our port write, that is totally fine. Set text, it's totally fine, and we don't need to close our port in here. So let me check once again, and I'm going to explain you everything in details. Okay, connect. All right, it looks complicated, but actually it's not. So what is the most important for you to know? Whenever we connect and disconnect our USB device, this on new intent method is going to be executed. And execution is actually split in two branches. So what is going to happen when we attach, and what is going to happen when we detach our USB device. So if we detach our USB device, we are just going to close our port and we are going to close our connection. But when we connect our device, first thing what we are going to do, we are going to create intent filter of action USB permission, and we are going to use that very same filter in order to register our broadcast receiver. And as you know, our broadcast receiver is going to be executed immediately after our response to permission request, in order to check whether we granted that permission or not. And then in here we are getting our device from from the list of connected devices, but of course there is only one device in here. Then we are creating pending intent, and at the end we are requesting permission using that very same pending intent on our device. Next thing that is happening, it's what is going to happen with broadcast receiver. So when we respond on permission request, first thing we are getting a string from intent get action in order to see whether that broadcast is actually our broadcast registered as action USB permission. And if it is, we are checking whether our permission has been granted, and if is, we are going to execute our connect method. Then with connect method, what is happening? First, we are probing for available drivers using our USB manager. Then we are getting our drivers from available drivers. Then we are getting our connection using that very same driver. And out of that very same driver, we are going to get our port. At the beginning of this connection part, we are using our port to open connection. And immediately after that we are setting parameters. So we are using 115/200 baud rate, we are using data bits 8, stop bits 1, and USB serial port parity none. And we dealt with this piece of code in my previous episode, so there is nothing to worry about. Immediately after that we are creating thread that is going to deal with incoming communication. So we are using this thread in order to read messages from our microcontroller. With running, we are having control over execution of our while loop. So first thing that we are going to do, we are going to check whether our port is open, and if it's not open, we are going to break out. If is open, first we are going to create byte array that is going to be used in order to store our messages. We are again taking a lock on porting because we are going to deal with our port. So what we are going to do, we are reading a message from our USB, and then we are creating string from that very same message, and we are going to present that string through our text view. After that part is done, this thread is going to sleep for 200 milliseconds, and then we are again checking whether our port is open. If port is not open, we are going to break out from this loop. Okay, now we have onCreate method, and basically here we have some design variable referencing, then defining of our manager and devices, and we have onClick listener for our send button. And code for send button, it's also very simple, but I just realized that I need to synchronize this part too, because we are dealing with port in here. So I'm going to correct that. Synchronized, porting, and I'm just going to pass these two lines of code in here. All right. I guess that it's done, and we can upload this piece of code to my phone. Okay. My phone is connected, and I'm just going to install this application. Okay, I just have to check my design because something went wrong with design. Let me see all of constraints. Alright, finally I did it. Okay, so in next part of this tutorial we are going to test this piece of code. So if you are wondering why this piece of code doesn't work, that is because our broadcast receiver is never activated. And the reason for that, it's intent filter that is set to action USB permission. Let me show you. It's in here, action USB permission. So the solution for this problem, it's in your onIntent method. When you create pending intent with get broadcast method, with new intent, third argument, provide action USB permission. And that is going to solve our problem. And don't worry about this code because I'm going to upload this entire project to my GitHub repository. And you can find the link in the video description. So now let's get to testing. So guys, as I promised, now we are going to perform a test of this application. And as you see, my application is up and running without my ESP microcontroller connected. So now I'm just going to connect this microcontroller to my application and we should see permission request. I'm going to provide permission and we are going to start receiving messages in real time. And now I'm going to send some message like, hey, little ESP, and some emoji in order to be interesting. And voila. Here is our message. So guys, that's all for this episode. I hope that you have learned something interesting. So please like, subscribe, and see you in next episode.